Hey, friends, welcome to another edition of the show. Listen, today's guest, took over a district that most people were like, no way, not touching it. Hemorrhaging students, failed a $60 million referendum and had just a community that just wasn't real, had kind of lost some faith. And instead of playing safe, he kind of rebuilt everything. So we've got a story to tell. This leadership team, the culture, everything. Pretty proud to see what this guy has done. I call him a friend. Please welcome Shane Tabby, Superintendent of Staples Motley Schools. Welcome aboard, Shane.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joe. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, so I want to start 2019. You walk into this job. You probably had a few people going, "Hey, buddy boy, you might want to use that mind of yours to think differently." The district is really—it's bleeding students to your local schools. We're getting your students. The referendum just crashed and trust is broken. Most people would have just tiptoed really around trying to keep everybody happy, but you didn't do that. You made moves. This guy made moves. What was decision number one for you? If you go back, what was decision number one?
I think the biggest thing from the get-go was recognizing that there was just a ton of potential in the district. And, it really was that first year just kind of sitting back and assessing the areas that needed to be looked at and really developing a team and establishing roots in the community and developing relationships with people to build that trust. And we talked a lot that first year of we got to have our actions align very clearly with what we say we're going to do, and we need to follow through and do it. And that
Yeah.
was the biggest decision, is aligning everybody on the team to be in conjunction with we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And that's a vital thing to build trust.
I've learned a ton from just watching you, but also in conversations with you. I Every once in a while I'll get asked, and it's not my primary work, but I'll get asked, "Hey, can you help us put a strategic plan together?" And guess what I refer them back to? I say, it's a strategic plan, but it's really a continuous learning. I stole that from you, boss. Totally did. And if you think about, you've got the right plan, but if you got some of the wrong people that are executing it, it's done. It's DOA, right? So
Right.
when you got there, you had to make some calls. Who stays, who goes, and in education, that's not easy. So you had to kind of play by all of the rules. But eventually, you persisted, and I think that's kind of that wrestler in you. You're just like, I'm just going to keep grinding this thing out, and I will win. And you've got a very, very impressive team in place, doing some amazing work at this time. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we've been we talk a lot about being very strategic in the hiring process. And everything that we do at the Staples Motley School District is built off of our continuous improvement plan. And that was really the one task that the board put in front of me. Kind of day one was we need a mission, vision, core values, and commitments that we can hold strong to, and we need a strong leader to be able to put that in place and develop that, and really be strategic in how we navigate that. And I have it right here in front of me because
There it
this
is.
this
And
is
it's a one
the
pager, folks. It might be a
yeah,
front back, but
front back. That's
if
it.
if you get that thing 3-hole punched, guess what? Nobody knows what's on page 2.
Correct.
Just
And
the reality.
that was the thing that we made sure, we wanted a living, breathing, working document. This is something that we revisit at every single admin meeting, every single department head meeting. Every single board member has that in front of them at our board meetings, because this was built from a grassroots approach. I mean, the community, staff members, students, everybody was a part of that process. So there brings a lot of value and trust to saying, okay, this is a decision that we're going to make, and we're making it based off of our priorities and our commitments within the district, and does it align with our mission and vision?
And
And
never accidental.
no.
I work with superintendents and college presidents that have really good ideas that just kind of come and go, and that nothing is actually objectified. So a board might be asking, why are we do well, because it's best practice. I'm so sick and tired of hearing best practice, especially after COVID. I think best practice just went out the window. we've had to define better practices and keep all of our organizations crystal clear about what is most important. So Jim Collin talks about in the Red Book, Good to something. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, right. Good to Great. He
Yep.
talks about one of the principles: first who, then what. I- I've heard people argue that and say, you got to know what, and then you find your who's to execute. Your thoughts or theories on that, boss?
I would agree. Like it's if you have your what, you can align your team according to the who, because everybody on a team brings, and the important piece I think is everybody has to feel valued, right? Like feeling valued is being, that's kind of that athletics or that team approach. If everybody feels value, and not everybody can be necessarily your superstar, but they have to feel value within an organization, and it's important to understand that if they feel that, they're gonna work for you. They're gonna do the work that is expected of them, and I think that that's something that you have to provide and guide and continue to promote within a district. And our continuous improvement plan, the one thing that I wanted to make sure that people talk strategic plan all the time, right? Like, but strategic planning it's a shelf document. And I think that that document gets looked at once or twice a year, and we wanted to create something that was you know reflective. And when we're looking at problem solving or working through a situation, people had a resource to say, okay, does my decision or does my thought align with what the district's direction really has established as a whole? And does this reflect the values? Does this reflect the commitments of what we are, as Staples Motley Cardinals?
One of the things that I saw you pull off in Greater Minnesota, that just I was gobstopped. I'm like, oh my goodness, why would he? So you had a plan. You've got your continuous improvement plan, but I don't know anybody in a district your size that went out and hired a communications specialist. But you had some wisdom behind that. Tell me what was involved in your thinking there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the big theme of all of this is in education, oftentimes the public doesn't get to see inside the walls that we're doing, what the work that we're doing. And through the conversations with the board is we got to do a better job of telling our story. We got to do a better job of sharing the amazing things that our adults and kids are doing every single day. And we've we put together a plan to develop a marketing communications person. And since that time, we've even expanded it to how do we get our staff involved to sharing their stories. And we tend to embrace those things more now, and people feel more comfortable. I think last year we just had our marketing communications people present. We have two now, so it's my assistant and another
Wow.
individual. But we we had over 1 million views on our website. So we did a redesigned website, and the amount of people that are accessing our social medias, our website, and the amount of the the teachers that are submitting cardinal communications, we call them.
Yeah, yeah.
We had 165 and 800 photos in our first year of doing it, and we're already on track to surpass that by about double or triple. So I got to give our staff a ton of credit. I mean, they work so hard with sharing the thing, and the public recognizes that, and the
Mm.
public sees that, and it's a neat thing because in education, and I've said this since I started, we aren't the greatest at sharing our story or tooting our own horn, so to speak, to share and say the good things that we're doing in public education, because we we just do the work, we continue to grind, and we continue.
Humble pie. Yep.
Yep,
There's
yep, exactly.
so much in terms of just you're pursuing excellence, just the essence, e- unless you are showing snapshots or video little clips of what
Yep.
excellence looks like. You have to remind your people. They're like standards, right? People like us, we do things like this and it looks like this, right? So you're not only hiring the right people, you got to keep them sharp. And obviously, your communications specialist kind of grew another one, and you're figuring out how to really cascade all of that work. So you're empowering, right? You're empowering your people because it's not just one person that goes around with a camera around their neck. No, it's you're creating a system of acknowledgement and valuing your values and all of that stuff. But your leadership team probably isn't just meeting to check boxes either. Yeah, you're using data, you're running the effective schools blueprint like none other, actually making decisions around that. And you're probably the one that is on the receiving end of a number of options. You don't have to play manager guy, mom and pop shop where you're doing everything and you're empowering your team, right? That's an impressive thing to watch, Shane.
It's about putting the right people in the right seats. I mean, it really is. And I feel I can't say enough good things about the team that we have here. And I mean, it flows from the board to our admin team, to our department heads, to our teaching staff, to our cooks, custodians, paraprofessionals. Um, like I said, we're blessed with having a plan that people trust, support, get behind, and continue to grow and improve on. And that was really my message to staff at the start of the year. Is the tagline that we use is the pursuit of excellence. That doesn't mean perfection. It just means we're going to continue to pursue excellence because that is one of our priorities. Excellence is a piece that we never want to arrive. We want to continue to grow and improve, and that's what our continuous improvement plan does.
You couldn't put it any differently. A continuous improvement plan never hits a goal line, right? We do celebrate every first down,
Yep.
but there's never an end point. We get good and we get better
Yep.
every day. We get good and then we get better, right? Okay, so soundtrack change here a little bit. Two failed referendums. That's got to be a bit of a punch in the gut. But you kept at it and are keeping at it. What's the latest there?
We're continuing to look at our long-term facility plan. We're actually in the process of navigating that right now. And we've really taken a different approach this go round as we look at our long-range facility plan of making sure that we get steering committees in place, we get the public involved in some of the conversations, and people recognize that we have some needs still. We were able to address some of them with some board approved levies last go around after the failed referendum to address some of the indoor air quality, electrical upgrades, asbestos abatement, lighting. So the infrastructure is there, and I think people have recognized and noticed the impact that that has made. But we do have some building needs and spaces and programming to still address, and
Right.
so we feel good about where we're at with it, but we're going to continue to move that needle forward. And you have to be willing to have some of the tough conversations about who do we want to be, what do we want to be about, and that continues to go back to the continuous improvement plan. We need to align what we're doing every single day um, with the industry standard. And to be honest, we've dug into some data and really defined. We have a population of students that enters right into the workforce, and we need to make sure that we're preparing them to be successful after they leave us. I mean, that's a goal of ours. We want them to be productive citizens in a global society, and that to me is an area that we need to align our buildings and spaces to be able to accommodate that and address that.
Let me ask a direct question. How did you not take it personal after first one, and then especially after the second one?
Well, I think it's hard to not take it personal, but it also is, when you reflect back on it and you look at it, I'm just a firm believer that you continue to move forward in that pursuit of excellence, and we need to, we need to listen twice as much as we speak, and we're here to do that and make sure that we can bring forward a solution down the road that's going to meet the needs of the kids, the community, and the values. But you're right, it's hard not to take it personal, but at the same time, we gotta put together something that will continue to move our kids, our staff, and our community forward. So you can't, I mean, you can't stop when you get an answer that you're not necessarily comfortable with or
There
want.
are a lot to do, though. I mean,
Right.
Shane, in your the office of the superintendent, after 2 failed referenda, I see a lot of soups that just drop the backpack and they go on to the next place with fingers crossed. And but you're staying at it. You're sticking to it. You're not done. You're not done. And here's the other thing: Staples Motley has a long history. I mean, a proud history of pursuing excellence. And I think you've got community members that have just this understanding of what that looked like at one time.
Mhm.
And then you have an 0-9 football season, and they're kind of looking and pointing fingers. And fast forward to 2024, and you're back in the state tournament. I mean, there's got to be just this resurgence of reclaiming that momentum going on within all of the communities that you serve there.
Yeah, I think, it comes down to that there's a belief in the process, right? Like everything is a process and it takes
Follow the
time,
process.
and
Yes.
sometimes you get away from the process and maybe look at things in a different way. But to me, it's always, how do you make adjustments? How do you continue to, no matter what program you're talking about, whether it's our speech program that has been extremely successful, our athletic programs, our educational environment, it's that continued pursuit of excellence. Like, don't ever feel like you've arrived and are satisfied. And it's no different in when we're talking buildings, or we're talking curriculum, or results on the MCA test, which gives you a snapshot of one day of a student's performance. That information is what you use to continue to pursue excellence. Like, yep, we're going to reflect, we're going to look at it, we're going to evaluate it, and we're going to find out, how do we continue to get better? Because that, to me, is the whole goal of education. Like, we need to continue to move the needle forward, continue to look at ways that we can grow and improve. And I think that's been our mechanism for success, is in all facets of education, because learning doesn't stop at 3:15 when the bell rings.
So true. So true. I love just your competitive edge as well. And you go back and kind of study the uh the competitor that you still are, but were back in the day as well. Two-time finalists in wrestling, right?
Mhm.
Uh Never quite on the tippy top of the podium though.
Right.
Was Tell me, you didn't finish first. What did that teach you that is still alive and well in you today?
That there's more work to do, and that you got to persevere through adversity. I mean, that's life in general. Like, you're not always gonna be at your best, and you're not always going to get the accolades that you may want or deserve. But it's the journey and the pursuit and the climb of that mountain that makes the difference. I mean, that nobody sees the work behind the scenes
Right.
and understands all of the things that go into the actual, award or accolade. But it's the work and the process that is life changing, not the result.
Yeah, you could have had a million excuses why you didn't get to go 12 inches up on that podium. And today, you could have a million excuses for staying just average across your region, across our state, across our nation. State funding isn't helping us. The demographics aren't helping us. We've got poverty issues, and you do have some serious poverty issues that you're occluding those gaps more and more every year, and local politics. And how do you keep that no excuses mindset that you had back then as an athlete, and are because you surround yourself and you become kind of the really the summary of the five people that you hang out with most often. And there's a lot of whining going on in education today.
Well, I think you look at controlling the controllables. Like there's certain things that are just out of your control, and you got to look at how do you make the biggest impact on the things that you can control, and how do you continue to look at what your goals are and establish like processes and action to align that. I mean, that's to me that's the biggest thing. You know, people talk about things all the time, but what is the action behind the words? And to me that's what sets the good to great apart. Is, you know, good, you can talk about it all you want, but what's the action behind it? And you have to be able to, in the pursuit of excellence, you got to be able to move and take action behind what you're saying.
You built a results based culture. Not everybody's doing that. Culture sometimes is this touchy feely thing, but yours is about results. So let's use your continuous improvement plan and protract it to 2030. Okay. Staples Motley. What does winning look like? What's that scoreboard going to read? Right? Is it enrollment? Is it test scores? Is it past referendum? Is it championships? What tells you we did it in 2030?
Well, I'll go back to saying I don't think we ever arrive even in 2030 if we are achieving the results that we are satisfied with. You continue to move forward. So I don't know that I I would ever tend to be quote unquote satisfied or believe that we've arrived, but
What's going to make you smile, boss? Come on.
well, what's going to make me smile is that our kids are being productive citizens in a global society, and we've done our job to set them up to be successful as husbands and wives and productive members in the workforce. You know, the we don't necessarily get to hear the successes from our student body when they leave us, but understanding that we prepared them to, you know, be successful, and hopefully they look at it as they've gotten the education through the Staples Motley School District, that they find their pursuit of excellence. And to me that would be in 2030, if we could have that from our student body to reflect on, to say, you know what, I it wasn't perfect, but this is what I can look back and reflect and say, you know, I was set up in a position to be successful in life because of the experiences and the relationships that I had with members of the Staples Motley School District.
Yeah. Uh, Preparing students for their future, right? I I can't think of a better gift that you could give anyone, but it's their future. So it's somewhat personalized, it's somewhat customized. Last question. We're almost out of here. Before we go to rapid fire, what's one thing that you believe every district leader you wish they understood about building trust within their organization? Most of them are maybe completely missing. One piece of advice or pep talk, coach.
Well, I think it comes down to your actions need, you know, your actions and words need to align, and you need to follow through with what you say you're going to do. I mean, that to me is, you want to talk about trust within the community, and trust within your staff and student body. It's about doing what you're saying you're going to do, and that's that follow through, and that I mean, trust is only built off of action. You know, it's not
Absolutely.
built off of words. I mean, you can say all you want, but your actions need to align with what you're going to say you're going to do. And um, you know, I've been fortunate enough to have some people who have worked in my cabinet that are, you know, current superintendents after they left here, or current administrators in other districts. And you know, I feel, matter of fact, I had a conversation with one last night who is out in Montana as a administrator, and you know, he texted me and said, "Gosh, it was a heck of a day yesterday." And I said, "I hope you were the calmest heartbeat in the room." And he goes, "I remembered that response from you, and I appreciate it." So it's nice to understand that you not only get to have an effect on students, staff, but even people that have left our district to pursue other administrative roles, having the effect and that relationship that they feel comfortable enough to call you, text you, or give you that trust or feedback that things are going well, and it's because of the opportunity that they were given here. And I just appreciate the fact of being able to work with people, because it is about relationships, it's about trust, and it's about that integrity piece that comes along with it, doing the right thing even when no one's watching.
I love it. That it just shines through and through all of your actions. So we're going to go to a lightning round, and I just respect everything. This is, folks, this is one that you're just going to want to watch over and probably take some serious notes. But now we get to see the human behind this superhuman. We're going to do a little bit of a lightning round. Are you ready?
Sure.
Buckle up, stretch out. Okay, your favorite go-to morning drink. What is it?
It's black coffee.
Black coffee, nothing in it.
Nope.
Unless it's bad coffee, then. Okay, wrestler guy, what was your signature move?
Well, I'd have to argue it was the fireman's carry.
I would hate to be on the other end of that thing. How about a guilty pleasure TV show or a movie that nobody would think that you would have watched?
I really like Top Gun 1 and 2.
One and two,
Yeah.
both of them. Okay. How about your favorite lake to fish in the area?
Ooh, Lake of the Woods is the lake of choice for me, but I'm
Okay.
certainly not going to tell you where I'm fishing, because I don't
That
want to give
secret
away
lake.
those secrets.
We're not going to give that one away. Okay. What's in your truck right now that might surprise somebody?
Well, I got a 5-gallon bucket full of baseballs.
Coach, through and through. How about the best piece of advice that you've ever received, and who gave it to you?
Well, I would have to go back to what I just shared with one of my former colleagues. The advice came from a group of administrators, and Joe, I think, matter of fact, you might have been in that conversation. It's finding way to be the calmest heartbeat in the room, because at times when you are making those tough decisions, emotions can come into play, and just being the calmest heartbeat helps make the right decisions.
Yeah. You can't be creative when you got fear bubbling in that blood of yours. Karaoke song. Talk about fear. If you're thrust on the stage, what are you singing?
Well, I definitely am not a singer. I probably can't even carry a tune, even if it was in a backpack. But if I was forced to do it, I'd probably say I'd go with Garth Brooks, probably "Friends in Low Places," something like that.
There it is. Classic. One thing on your desk that means a lot to you.
Well, it's the picture that's on my desk with my my wife and kids. They mean the world to me. So
Beautiful family, boss. Okay, if you weren't a superintendent, what would you be doing right now?
Well, I enjoy the athletics and sports, and like I said earlier, the Twins are looking for a manager, so maybe I could be Rocco Baldelli's replacement, but I haven't gotten a call yet.
I hope you don't. You're a good man. You're a good man, and you are needed. Favorite thing about small town Minnesota that just keeps you there, Shane?
That's an easy one. It's the people. I've developed some lifelong friendships and relationships with people, even through some of the toughest conversations. You can tend to find common ground and work through them, and it's definitely the people in small town Minnesota.
So good. So good. Shane Tappy, everyone, just thank you. Thank you, my friend. If people want to look at this beautiful webpage of yours and maybe steal some of your trade secrets, where would you drive them to?
It's www.isd2170.org.
There you go. Check it out, folks. You don't have to reinvent this wheel. I would take that one and actually just rip it off and make it your own. Impressive work, my friend. Hey, folks, that's the show. We'll see you next time. Peace.